Hey everyone, welcome back to New Entry Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, IAN, and a freak show is what I can be. And if you're feeling so high, enjoy, give me a holla or hit that follow button on Spotify and Apple. And don't forget to don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. And we got a lot of exciting news to talk about today, plus some dream matches and some fun wrestling questions. So let's jump right in. Yo, welcome back, Andre the Savage. What it do?
What's up, man? 2025. 2 weeks left of January, weeks left before the Rumble.
Facts. Well, the day of recording is gonna be a week. Or when this episode drops. No, yeah, you're right. 2 weeks from now. Or a week from Saturday, I guess. So excited for the Royal Rumble. Um, did you get tickets? Are you able to go?
No, I think I'm just stay home because there's a possibility I might have to work overtime that day. So work
Mm.
some overtime, take a nap, and then get ready to watch the show all night.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So you're gonna actually watch the show live then, or you're gonna be able
Yeah,
to? That's
yeah.
cool. So,
If anything, I'll probably host a thread on the CWK page
oh
since
man,
most of the members are gonna be out there that day anyway.
oh, are they? Oh, that's
Hmm.
cool. I'm actually gonna be going to the SmackDown, so the night before. Tickets were very cheap, and I just figured, let me take advantage of it. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna have the WWE Superstore open, because that's what they did for. That's what I'm going based on. So I'm going based on last year's Survivor Series when um we went to the Superstore, and then that's when we found out that we didn't even knew that SmackDown was gonna be there. We just thought it was Survivor Series. And once we found out that they were gonna be there, that's when we purchased the tickets for SmackDown. Because we actually went, it was actually on Friday, I think. So Friday we went for the Super Show, for the WWE Superstore, sorry. And then that's when we found out that SmackDown was there at the Allstays Arena. And then so we purchased tickets and we just went there to get like stuff for Survivor Series. So that way we didn't have to do it the day of the show. So whatever we wanted from like the gear stuff, merch, we got it on Friday. And so that was my plan for the Royal Rumble is go to SmackDown, go check out the Superstore. My plan wasn't never to go to SmackDown. I was just gonna go to the Superstore, and then come back. But then I found out that I don't know. I think somebody told me they're like, you might as well just go to SmackDown then. And then I didn't even knew they were gonna. I didn't. How come they're not even promoting that? They haven't even been promoting that they were gonna be there. Uh, on for SmackDown. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't even thought about that either. But they're not even promoting it. And then so I went and checked it out, and I was just like, oh, they are. They're gonna be in the arena with the Pacers play. So I was like, oh man, I check out the tickets and they were super cheap. I'm just like, why are you guys not promoting this? You guys are talking about All Stays Arena at April 4th, but you're not promoting tickets for the Indiana show for the SmackDown the night before Royal Rumble. I was like, you know what? I'm glad you're not promoting it because I would have not gotten those tickets then because they probably the prices would have gone up. So now I'm going to SmackDown and then go check out the Superstore and then try to find a lanyard that says the Royal Rumble. So that way, I mean, it still counts that I went. I went to the pre-show of the Royal Rumble if you really think about it. So still counts in my book. So excited for that one. A nice road trip to Indiana. Going back to Indiana. The last time I was in that arena, I totally forgot what the name of the arena, but again, with the Pacers play. Uh the last time I was there is with Ever, and that's when we checked out WWE Fastlane. And the main event was Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Last Man Standing. Also, John Cena's return. when he teamed up with LA Knight, yeah, against the Bloodline, right? I think it was Jimmy and Solo at that time. So, so excited to go back over there. Uh, for now, we'll talk about SmackDown a little bit more, but right now, I really want to talk about is Penta, aka Penta El Cero Miedo. Sorry, I probably butchered that. Pentagon Jr. has officially joined WWE after a okay run in AEW, but he did had an amazing run in TNA and Impact Wrestling, and of course AAA down in Mexico. Penta made his WWE debut in his first match against Chad Gable. This was huge. What are your thoughts, Andre the Savage?
I liked it. It's not bad for something of the modern era. I really loved Chad's kind of tribute to Kurt Angle's
Yes,
1999 attire, early 2000s mid card Kurt Angle.
yes,
Um,
I appreciate that too.
it's a shame that he's not getting the same push, but again, it's his size. No matter what, at the end of the day, if
Hmm.
he's not at least 6'1" or 6 foot tall, he's not going to be taken serious as a main eventer just yet. But hopefully that changes down the road.
It will.
Um,
It will. He's finally
but
getting recognized.
it gave me a little reminder of the Kurt Angle Rey Mysterio debut. That's kind of what they're hoping to
Okay.
get out of it. The good thing is it was in California, so obviously obviously San Jose being a very Latino Mexican community, it really helped get that pop. Anywhere else, I don't think he would have gotten as much of a big reaction, despite his popularity with the wrestling fan base.
Hmm.
It has to be a majority Mexican community for him to get that
Yeah,
response.
you're
Otherwise,
not wrong there. Even an All-State Arena would have worked.
maybe it depends. You still got more mainstream fans over internet wrestling fans in
Mm.
Chicago, um, traditional wrestling. So that was good being where it was at. I'm hoping that during the Rumble we get a Rey Mysterio Penta stare down, the way we would get those stare downs between big names. And with Backlash being in Mexico, there has to
Well,
be some
that's
sort of
still rumors though. That's still rumors.
well, with a PLE likely being in Mexico, there has to be a Rey Mysterio Penta match, whether
Right.
it's with each other or tag teaming against somebody else.
Hmm.
But obviously, be rest assured, you're going to be seeing Penta mixing it up with everybody, but obviously he's going to be mixing it up with all the luchadors in the WWE
He's gonna
between
start off with,
NXT,
yeah, mid
between
cards.
NXT, Raw, and SmackDown.
Right. Yeah, he's not gonna be in the main event anyways. We're aware of that. Um, but it'd still be cool to have like kind of like dream matches where it's like him against Seth Rollins, kind of like an old school. It's like we don't have to wait a year or two for this dream match where it's like, hey, just announce it 2 weeks from now, Penta versus Seth Rollins, expedition match, just to have a fun match, something like that. It doesn't
Maybe,
always have to be like a storyline.
maybe this gives them the ability to revive a championship belt. Doesn't necessarily have to be the cruiserweight title.
Right.
Maybe even give the light heavyweight title an opportunity to get real
Mm,
life in the main event
that works
instead
with
of
the
and
UFC.
change the speed belt to the light heavyweight championship, and you
Okay.
have the luchador uh, wrestling that WCW had back on Nitro
Right.
between all the luchadors and all the light heavyweight opportunity high flyers. This way, yeah, you have a lot of titles, but it gives them something to work with, so they're not just jobbers.
Right. And because my only thing with the X Division was um they never take it serious. Like compared to the X Division, they took it serious at that time. Where it's like their
Back in the early
champion.
teens.
Yeah. That early when the champion was yeah, this guy, the world champion, is the champion of our company and the world, but I'm the leader for the X division, you know? I make the calls on how you guys become number one contenders and all that stuff, you know? Um, so that was cool. Like, it was basically when you're the X division champion, it's like you're the locker room leader for the X division, you know? But and then sometimes they would get higher up in the card, like somebody like AJ Styles and Petey William, they moved up to the card with the X division. But with the WWE, when it comes to the cruiserweight, it's like now you're always the opening match pre-show. The light heavyweight title kind of it's like kind of like it reminds me like the UFC. There is a weight limit, but it's like yeah, but you could also it's make it a no limit weight, you know? Or if you do want to have um a limit on the weight, that's cool, but at least try to have it with 250 or something like that, not 205, you know? So, but I like that, bringing in a new title, something like that. Um, but let's just say they do bring in that new title. How would you want that to happen? Like something how like they did it with the cruiserweight division the first time, with
Sure,
TJP one.
something similar to a tournament
Okay.
where it takes off on a pay-per-view instead of a Netflix or USA.
Mm.
Let it cap off at an actual PLE.
Like started at the PLE or be like the whole
So
event.
do a tournament and it caps off at a PLE.
Mm. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I got you. What you mean? That's cool. Who would be the first person to crown, or who would be the final two? I'm assuming Panda.
If not Humberto Garza, I would definitely want to see,
Oh, Santo Escobar.
yeah, or Penta and Dom.
Oh, damn. Just to
Rey
get that.
Mysterio, Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio doesn't need it. Angel Garza doesn't need it. Neither does El Idolo. He doesn't need
Mm,
it. This is something that brings up the newcomers, the new guys.
right.
Hell, maybe even Ray Phoenix if he's released and signed by then.
Yeah.
We get Ray and Penta on the final two.
Oh, damn. That would be nice. Ray Phoenix and Penta, both brothers. The Lucha Bros. But I actually like Penta versus Dom. That would be good. Cause the cheers from Penta and then the boos from Dominic. And then even if let's just say this happens like 2 weeks from now, right? Even those people who are not really into Penta, they're still gonna be cheering for him because they don't want Dom to win. So it's still gonna be like the only problem is it ain't gonna be a great classic match, but it is gonna be a fun match. Now, who would go over, Penta or Dominic?
You probably have to have Dom go over at first
Mm.
because it gives him the eventual. It builds him up since he hasn't been a champion since the NXT Championship,
And then yeah.
the North American title. It gives Dom a main event title run to have, and and he needs to have that William Regal heel persona.
Mm. Damn. And William Regal did had heel. I mean heel. He did had heat. He died. He definitely got heat. He
Find a
know.
way out. Yeah, yes, it's Eddie Guerrero like, but Eddie Guerrero was more of a babyface. So this is something where you have to get booed for doing.
Mm. So who do you think is what's next for Penta? I know you kind of mentioned that. So you think he's gonna be stuck with the LWO, or do you think he's gonna be on his own for a bit? It,
Well, it looks like the LWO is very likely going to be moving to SmackDown because they need ratings on that side.
and
Especially
and
after the whole thing with Kevin Owens, I think Ray and the LWO will go back to SmackDown. You'll probably see Legado de Fantasma go on to Raw, uh, and really wherever Charlotte goes is where her husband goes. So
at this moment he's on SmackDown. I feel like they should both be just stay on SmackDown, to be honest. I prefer them being on SmackDown. Uh, but since you mentioned her, exciting news. Charlotte Flair returning to SmackDown. So, how do you feel about her coming back? And do you think she's gonna like shake up the SmackDown's women's division? Or do you
Oh, definitely.
think
I think she's not going to win the Rumble. I think she's going to win the Women's Elimination Chamber.
okay.
I think it's going to end up being her and
Yeah,
Tiffany.
that was gonna be my
It
next
makes it
question.
makes the most sense. Not that I don't want to see Rhea and Charlotte 3,
Mhm.
but it looks like it's going to likely end up being Rhea and Nia Jax, just from the building
Oh.
right now. Um, we've gotten to see Rhea and Nia mix it up every now and then, but we haven't seen them both at their best full potential. Nia's gotten better in the ring as of over the last year. She's been a little bit more careful. She's been able to work good matches lately, and it's a good powerhouse match between the
Mhm.
two. Um, I think it's time to move on from Liv and Rhea at this point. It might finish off or cap off before WrestleMania, but this is an opportunity to have straight up one-on-one title match, Rhea versus Nia. The last few times you've seen Rhea versus Nia, it's been more one-on-one non-title matches or multi-women matches where Nia happens to be in the mix. This is gonna be just uh, powerhouse versus powerhouse, Goldberg versus Mark Henry kind of match,
Mhm.
being at WrestleMania.
So do you think Nia Jax is gonna win the Royal Rumble?
Probably somehow, yeah. If she doesn't Randy Orton her way into it by taking the win from the winner. And
Mm.
that's probably going to be if somebody gets injured after the Rumble.
See, that's what I was kind of expecting. Um, what's it called? I forgot how I first thought of it, but I thought kind of what you just said. I thought it was gonna be like the Rock and Big Show moment where of this female wrestler is gonna win, but Nia Jax was gonna take this moment away. But instead of just Nia Jax versus that champion, it was gonna be a triple threat match. So
Now, we
that's
could
what
always
I
have
figured.
we could always have a triple threat with Liv is still in the mix, so she's not thought of as an
Yeah,
afterthought.
I feel like she deserves to headline
But if that's the case, you might
WrestleMania.
as well throw. If that's the case, then you might as well have a fatal four way and throw Raquel into the mix, where Raquel is turning on
Mm,
Liv because she doesn't want to just be in her shadow. She has to remind everybody that she used to be a badass.
yeah. Well, kind of. Kind of. I mean, I don't, yeah, kind of. That's all I gotta say about that. So, but yeah, for me, I thought it was always gonna be a triple threat match at the WrestleMania with Liv and Rhea Ripley and Becky.
And that's also assuming that she's not going to go after what's her name, the new Intercontinental Champion.
Oh yeah. Who would go?
What if
Who
she
would?
goes after her?
Oh, Liv Morgan.
No, Raquel.
Oh, Raquel. Okay. Who's the Intercontinental champion again?
Uh, I can't pronounce her name. I'm not used to saying her name often.
Yeah,
The girl from
it's
NXT.
Valkyrie, something like that, right?
Definitely not that.
Ever's not here to do the research, and he knows her. He loves her, and
Yeah.
he's always rooting for her. And I'm just like, I just don't see it, you know. Um, but I mean, she's a fantastic worker, and unfortunately, I don't remember what her name is, but that's all right. Ever's not here to do
Yep.
the
That's
research.
kind of sad. That's kind of bad that the first Intercontinental champion for the women's division is not known yet. We know who Chelsea Green is,
Yeah, but you know who we do know? Dakota, the one who lost that match, the one who should have won.
or sadly Natalia, that people thought was going to be the inaugural champion.
I
But
thought she was gonna. I thought she was gonna
I'm
win the
glad that
U.S.
didn't happen,
title.
man. I'm glad that didn't happen because I didn't want to have to hear her cut the same promo she's been cutting for the last how many years of who her
Mm,
dad and uncle are. Like, okay,
yeah,
is that the only promo you can ever cut? Can't you cut something when you're separating yourself from your family?
yeah,
Because
and that's her issue.
that's kind of what Charlotte did
Hmm.
after she became the women's champion, not the Divas champion, the women's champion. She isolated herself from her dad's legacy, even though it's a little bit the same. She didn't say I'm Ric Flair's daughter. She just said I'm Charlotte Flair.
Yes.
That's what Natalia needs to do. She needs to step out of her dad's and uncle's shadow, or
Right.
or immortalize it by saying she's better than them, but she
Mhm.
can't because that's the only promo she's got.
It's I do like it if it builds up for a story, right? But like you said, she does it every time. Every time she faces somebody, she brings up her dad or her uncle's legacy, and it's just like, all right, man, that's it. That's all you got. And you don't. Unfortunately, that's all she got because you can't really look back and say, yeah, I remember this match of hers. You know, you can't really say that. So.
Everybody, every person she's wrestled pretty much carried her throughout the entire match, and that's a shame from somebody who was in Stu Hart's dungeon.
And it's sad because it's like me personally, I think she is a good worker. And in the ring stuff, it's more of like she doesn't really know how to wrestle. It's just she knows how to do spots, in my
Yep,
opinion.
yep.
And that's basically all I could say. Where it's just
She's a
like,
female. She's kind of like a female Jeff Hardy, except without the reaction.
yeah,
She doesn't get the
okay. Oh
response that
yeah,
he
yeah.
gets.
Okay, I guess I'm thinking like like the high spots and all that. That's where my mind
He
went. But I
he's
get
a
what you
spot.
mean.
He's a spot
Yeah.
guy, but at least it's like, oh wow, that
Yes.
was cool.
Yes. And also as a worker, you could work with that and you know how to call spots. Hey Jeff, do the whisper win. We're gonna do this spot. You know how to work a match with him. With Natalia is let's just go out there because
Oh, there's
you
that again.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, let's just go out there because and call your spots because you do the same thing. And the disc clothesline, go after the sharpshooter, you know,
You know what I think hurt her doing the whole Total Divas and Total Bellas thing. I
it
think
did.
her focusing on that too much and not trying to find a balance is what made her that.
Mhm. She and with AJ Lee, she just kept she should have joined with AJ Lee and be like, yeah, you're right, AJ. We should be focusing more on the wrestling and not the diva part. But she was disagreeing with AJ, saying you're wrong, but yeah, you're still in the Bella side, you know. So yeah, it didn't work out for her. It didn't work out for her. It was more of a like she wanted to be in the diva side or the diva division, kind of like Chelsea Green, where she kind of belongs. She works well in the divas division back then.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but she is a fantastic worker, though. She knows how to work. So, so great thanks for Chelsea Green. And whoever won the first ever Intercontinental Championship. I mean, I feel like Dakota should have won it, but whatever.
Valkyra, that's what it is.
By Kyra? Okay, well,
Yeah.
Dakota, it should have been Dakota versus Io Sky at WrestleMania. Now for Chelsea Green, who do you think should be who should she defend the
You know
United
what?
States
The
Championship?
her doing the whole Divas thing, that would actually be kind of cool for her to have what they were trying to do with Santino. Remember when Santino was trying to challenge all former Intercontinental champions?
Right.
If that's if Chelsea's talking about a Divas only, then bring whatever Divas can still kind of work a good 5-10 minute match
Oh,
and let her
yes.
go through them. Let her and have Piper Niven out there so she can kind of do the whole Nydia distraction to give Chelsea those wins. The
Right.
Weasel wins. That's what she needs to get. She needs to get those heelish Weasel wins that eventually it's gonna get her over because the crowd likes Chelsea,
Facts.
even though she's a heel.
Facts.
But eventually it's gonna get tiresome with the crowd to the point where they're like, okay, let's get a new champion already.
Hmm.
That's how you build the next women's US champion. So have her go through Divas Life Champions. Now on the main event, the Diva Life Champions are Zelina,
Hmm.
um, Tiffany, but she is the women's champion right now.
Right.
So you got to get girls who are more on the diva side. At the same time, have her go through
Old school
Candice
divas.
Michelle.
Oh,
Candice
okay.
Michelle, if you could get it.
Yeah.
Have her go through Kelly, if you can get it. Have her
Michelle
go
McCool.
through Michelle McCool. Have her jokingly go over Jillian Hall. Have her go over
Oh, yes. That would be classic.
have her. Who was
Layla. I would like to see Layla. I would love to see
no no no
Layla.
don't put Layla through that, man. Come
Nah,
on.
bro, I love Layla.
The
Back
only way
then,
the only way you're gonna do that with Layla is if Layla kind of beats the crap out of her, and when the referees turn, you have Piper Niven demolish her. Same
mm,
thing with Michelle McCool. You have to have her demolish those two.
okay. But then yeah, look, you just said it. You have Layla come back first, and then Michelle McCool follows, and then we got a tag team match as well. So Lay Cool, they need to win the women's tag team championship, even if it's for like a day or two.
If you did you realize that in this month of January, technically all of the women's championships have new champions.
Mm,
You have Chelsea Green, the inaugural champion,
right.
Valkyra, the inaugural champion.
Okay.
The world title switched hands, and Naomi is technically the new tag team champion.
Oh yeah. I find it.
The
I
titles all somewhat technically changed hands
They all changed
on the
within the
women's
new year.
divisions.
Why you think they did that? Because it's a new era.
The new era, and I think Jade Cargill also kind of gave it away on X when she responded to a tweet by Naomi, kind of giving it away that it likely was possibly both Bianca and Naomi that put her out.
Mm. So what does that mean for Jay then?
It means that she goes through her tag team rivals. If they whatever the story is around that they build that it was one of them, if not both of them.
Yo, hey, going both of them? That would be wild. That would be crazy. And what
So
if
remember how I told you when SummerSlam promo for next year release, I said it's probably going to be Jade and Bianca. I still
Mhm.
think that's what's going to end up being.
Now, because you mentioned this, and then let's just say they do go some tag team match. Let's just say Jade needs a tag team partner to go against Naomi and Bianca. You think Jordan Grace would be a good fit?
Or Bailey,
Bailey.
Bailey, who did everything she could to get on their good side, only for them to be the ones that turned heel.
Mm. And it's gonna pinch a nerve, something similar to because it's gonna bring deja vu with Io Sky, kind of like what Roman with the steel chair with Seth
That
Rollins.
and Naomi's gonna be like, I stood up for you, and you chose her over us.
Right. And she's an outsider.
Now, unfortunately, Miss Monet could have been that one, but or being petty with the WWE.
Yeah.
That would
But
have been a star moment right there for Sasha Banks to return,
oh yeah, it
and
would
that
have.
that would have been revenge on Bianca Belair, who put her out.
And it would have worked out perfectly because Naomi and Sasha Banks, before they left the company, they were women tag team champions. And they
Yep,
come back as
dude,
fighting
that
for the
story
same
would have written
titles.
itself.
It would have
That
worked
story would
out
have written itself right
perfectly.
there.
Man. But oh well. Hey, but she's a COO and not a hoe anymore. So
I won't say about that.
I know what part I gotta edit. Maybe. I don't know. But
Spell it a
anyways.
just spell it a different way in the subtitles.
uh but you know what is working together? TNA and WWE. I'm totally shocked about it. I never thought I'll see the day that these two would team up. And like, can you imagine like WWE superstars like Roman Reigns showing up to Impact, even though we know it's never gonna happen? Or even stars like Josh Alexander showing up to WWE, but he's going to be released soon. But who knows? Maybe he'll go and sign with WWE or go down to NXT. Um, what are your thoughts on that? And it's like official, and it's
Yeah, well,
multiple
I mean,
years.
it was announced the moment that TKO officially purchased WWE, and
Hmm.
then months down the road, there was always talk of a merger or or if not a merger, some form of alliance, some form
Right.
of cooperation between the two brands. Um, this just gives them the ability to use if anyone's injured or if they want to expand the Rumble. Rumbles between the men and women's. Now they have the opportunity to add names from not only NXT but now the TNA
Hmm.
brand. And do they use their TNA name? Do they use their real name, or are they going to use their WWE name? For example, I don't think Nick Nemeth is going to be the one that enters the Rumble. I think it's going to be Dolph Ziggler.
Facts, and it should be. It should be. Same with Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder. Here's the thing: Matt Cardona should come out as Matt Cardona, but he should come out to Zack Ryder's theme song.
And Xavier Woods needs to start implementing his name into his promos. There's going to be consequences.
Damn. Former former TNA tag team champion
And then say, and that's Creed.
Creed. That was I like that. That was clever. Um, like you know who I really want to see though? Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre going back to TNA. That would be crazy. I want to see him go against Moose. Now, if Bobby Lashley would have signed back with TNA, that would have been crazy, because then he could have actually like I just don't understand why he would go to AEW, but it is what it is for him. But in TNA, it was like, bro, you're a former world champion here.
Yeah, but I think that there's more dollars. At least before the merger, there was more dollars on AEW because Tony Khan is that stupid.
Right.
He's doing the Eric Bischoff checks. He's not
Yeah.
learning from WCW mistakes.
He's
He's
not.
just trying to spend. He's just trying to spend as much of his dad's money as possible to the point where his dad's gonna say, "All right, well, it's either gonna be wrestling or football, and football makes more money."
Right. Or he's got to lower the budget. So,
So he's gonna have to start working on getting sponsors, and the only one that knows how to make sponsors if he signs with him is gonna be Shane.
mm, not the Young Bucks.
Nope.
So, but yeah, and it's cool because, like you mentioned about Dolph Ziggler, and what I mentioned about Drew McIntyre, they had a, I don't think they had a rivalry. I believe they never had a rivalry with each other. I think they just had a team, right? They just like they just
They were
formed.
kind of trying to do. Yeah, there was always that joke that they were forming the new two dudes with attitude
Oh, there you go,
because
Shawn
they had
Michaels and
because
Diesel.
because it looked almost like it.
Yes.
Dolph Ziggler was going after the Intercontinental title. They both had the tag team champions, the championship. Um, Obviously, Drew looked like a freaking main eventer.
Hmm.
And if there was one person he should have taken the title from, if not Roman, it would have been Braun Strowman. So, uh, he was a better version of Kevin Nash.
He was. He was able to move
And
better,
yeah,
quickly.
but he also had the prophecy that he always, the 2009 prophecy of Vince McMahon, future former world champion.
That guy was the chosen one. That guy- that but and then at that time that he was having a feud with Seth Rollins for the IC title, and then eventually Dean Ambrose joined, and that's where they started having like tag team rivalry matches, which were all great matches, by the way. Um, and it sucked because talk about like what we talked about in the last previous episode about how Dolph Ziggler should have been WWE champion after the Survivor Series and stuff like that. It took so, and like every year, I always thought, oh, one day we're gonna get Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship, and at WrestleMania, never happened. Oh, maybe we're finally gonna get at WrestleMania, we're 32, we're finally gonna get Triple H versus Dolph Ziggler. It happened on Monday Night Raw. Oh, okay. And then finally, the payoff of Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler finally happened in 2019 for the Intercontinental Championship, not for the WWE World Championship, not even for the Universal Championship.
It
Uh,
was hard to enjoy that match because of the stupid fans and the attendance counting down 10 seconds every single minute. Like, really, man?
oh,
Let's
sorry, it was
focus on the
2018, right? 2018, that's
let's
what
yeah,
happened.
yes, let's try to enjoy the damn match. Stop counting
Mm,
down. This is not the Royal Rumble.
yeah. Oh man, I forgot about that. I,
I couldn't. I was
I,
getting pissed every
you
minute.
know
Like, come
why I
on.
forget? You know why I forgot about it? It's because of the SummerSlam match made it up. The SummerSlam made it up because that my favorite one. That made it up. The Iron Man match for the Intercontinental Champion in the main event. I was like, cool. I'm all for it. I'm excited for this one. Please steal the show. They were having a good match, and then the fans started counting to 10. Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins did not care about it. They just stopped. They just gave up. So now it became like, oh, I don't even like this match. And it didn't ended in a draw.
Yeah.
So all that just for a draw. So I want to know what happened where it's like, was that always the plan? If so, why have that the main event?
Well, even if a finish is decided, you already know that the ref is the one who's going to get the final call on the
Mm,
earpiece.
hmm, interesting. Do you think there should have been a clear winner that night?
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean,
I
if it's going
know.
to be a face champion, obviously Dolph would have won it, but I think you could have had Dolph
I think Dolph
win.
was a heel at that time, right?
Dolph could have won with Drew McIntyre distraction.
Okay. Yeah, because I think who walked in as SummerSlam as champion? Let me check. SummerSlam. What year was that? It was 2018, right?
Yeah, because 2019 Seth was the world champion.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot, cause and that's where it's I think SummerSlam or not that year's WrestleMania Roman faced Drew.
In 2017, it was between 2016 and 2017, it was Miz with the IC title.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Seth Rollins. Okay, so Dolph Ziggler walked in as champion, and Seth Rollins walked out as champion, and that's where rumor was Dean Ambrose was supposed to make his return um that night, but he ended up making his return the following or the Monday Night Raw before the show,
Then didn't turn heel until Roman had to relinquish the title for cancer,
just for them to face for the Intercontinental Championship instead of the World Championship.
and just for them to have some sort of stupid thing for
Oh,
Dean because they didn't have anything for him.
so okay, so it ended in a settled death overtime. So Dolph Ziggler did ended up winning the match after a distraction from Drew McIntyre. So it ended in a draw, and then they went on overtime.
Which they could
So
have just done within the time limit.
yeah, basically, there was no need for that part. So, well, going back to TNA and WWE, I got a little uh kind of like a dream match. What basically what you think about this match? Joe Henry versus like The Miz as like the first crossover WWE versus TNA.
Yeah, Miz makes the most sense because he's the modern version of Big Show. Big Show was the guy that always did the celebrity sign off, so it's got to be
Right.
Miz now.
Oh, nah, I like that comparison. That was a good one. Yeah, and then when Joe Hendry with the whole, I believe Joe Hendry song, the trend and all that, and also, um, well, the day of recording it's TNA Genesis NXT, so there's a chance that Joe Hendry may walk out as TNA World Championship, showing up the Royal Rumble as champion. There is a possibility for that. Um, But yeah, like even it's champion or not champion, Joe Henry versus The Miz. I think like just the mix of the comedy with the wrestling would be fun.
That's the case. For that to work, it's got to be because of the Rumble. It's got to be a
Yeah,
moment where Joe Henry either eliminates the Miz or he eliminates um,
our truth.
he eliminates Karrion Cross, who then
Ooh,
tells the Miz to eliminate him.
mm.
Otherwise, the Miz has to finish punishment.
And Karrion Cross used to
Because
be in
even if
TNA,
yeah, even if let's say that they finish working with the Wyatt Six, that doesn't necessarily mean that Karrion Cross Miz's debt to um the stable that they have is paid off.
right?
So maybe he'll sick Miz on him first, and then do this whole reminding Miz of who he was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, getting in his head, only for them to constantly cut back to laughing at him like they do, like they have been, like laughing at Miz behind his back.
Mm,
Eventually, the payoff is going to be Miz versus Karrion Cross, obviously somewhere down the road, one
right.
on one, kind of release himself of that whole thing, but. Uh, that's when it finally builds up. In the meantime, you got to have him be the lackey of the team.
That's cool. So you agree with Joe Henry, The Miz starting off, and then but like have the payoff be The Miz versus Carey and Cross then.
Yep.
So all right, that's cool. I like that. I like that. I like that. So any other dream matches that you would like to possibly see, since now it's more realistic
I don't know about dream matches, but what I do want to see in the Rumble happen is Dolph getting his revenge.
on who?
I want to see him super kick Bronson Reed. I mean, not Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed was one of the rivals he had around that time, but um,
Braun Breaker
Ron Breaker. I want to see him super kick Ron Breaker out of the Rumble,
out of the Rumble.
and
Damn.
maybe that be a cross-branded rivalry. It doesn't even have to be for the IC title. It just has to be revenge for
Mm.
Dolph.
Bro, I didn't even think about that, man. And Braun Breaker and Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner is a big star, and I don't even think he's a Hall of Famer in the TNA yet, but that works out. That definitely works out. And Braun Breaker versus Moose, damn. I that's a good one. But yeah, no, if you could find if that Dolph Ziggler find a way to start program, Braun Breaker will be a nice choice. Even like I said, even with Drew McIntyre, just because he's a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion, but just because with WrestleMania. But here's my thing: what's not Dove Ziggler? What's Drew McIntyre gonna be doing at WrestleMania? If he's not gonna be in the main event, then hey, have him do a program with Dove Ziggler then, with the TNA and WWE crossover.
Do an open challenge, and like you said, Moose is the one that responds at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Another cross-branded rivalry.
and he used to be a NFL player, so that's why I mentioned about Moose and Braun Breaker would be a good fit. Even LA Knight having a crossover and all that. Our Truth, bro. Please, man. That one is just money. I am waiting for moments like our Truth just to show up. Even like
You
Matt
mean Ron
Hardy,
Killings?
Ron Killings, a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, TNA Tag Team Champion with
Two-time,
Pac-Man
two-time NWA champion.
two times. And he defeated Jeff Jarrett. No, Ken Shamrock. Who was the other one? Was it Jeff Jarrett for the second
Yeah, it
one?
was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. Ken Shamrock, a former UFC fighter and Hall of Famer, and then Jeff Jarrett.
A
So
legit badass.
yes, and then oh,
Dude still looks good for his old age, man.
Ken Shamrock. Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, still jacked. That guy does not stop working out. He still trains for UFC, and I think he has his own classes as well.
Somehow Al Snow looks a lot better now than he did back during his whole wrestling career.
You are not wrong, bro. That dude is jacked. It's like, what took you so long?
Look at Kozlov after he got released, how jacked he got.
Cause
And then people, yeah, Kozlov,
why am I throwing a blank on him?
the Russian dude from 2009 to Santino's
Oh,
tag team
yeah,
partner.
yes, yes. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, facts,
He
bro.
was he
Facts.
was more husky, and then out of nowhere, somebody from WWE went to go visit him to see how he was doing. He got real swell, real jacked, and there was the tease that he would have came back and gotten even with Sheamus at that point, because Sheamus was this one that sent him home.
Sheamus sent him home?
Yeah, there was that rivalry between Sheamus and Santino.
Oh, damn. The only person I remember Sheamus sending somebody home was Jamie Noble.
That too.
So,
Not sending him home, sent him to retirement, put him in the old folks' home.
shit. Yeah, Jamie Noble. He sent him to retirement.
Yeah,
He was the jobber. He was the last jobber, I believe, to make people look good. And then Sheamus sent him home. And it was like, oh, okay, we got no more jobbers now. So, but all right. Well, I want to take this time to remind everyone that IAN is who I am. And if you're feeling so high in joy, give me a holla or just hit that follow button on Spotify and Apple, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Now, Andre, I thought we'll have some little fun like games, you know. So let's get into it. So I got two questions for you. The first one, imagine this, all right? You're sitting down for dinner with a WWE women's superstar, and you get to choose between Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Tiffany. Who are you picking? And what's the first question you asking them? And please try to keep it PG.
Oh, yeah, you're just not fun in that.
Who you
Well, see, I'm
got?
not gonna pick Rhea because then I'll have to answer to Buddy Murphy afterwards. Any questions I ask.
I'm pretty sure they're all in
Same
relationships.
thing with Tiffany because I don't want to say something to me.
Jeez.
And yeah, so I guess I'll have to be Liv.
Liv Morgan.
Um, I guess the question will be, what the hell is the point of the stupid blue tongue? What did that do? What did that do to the character? What was the point of that?
What was the whole point of that? Oh, dude, I forgot about that.
What does eating a full push pop before a wrestling match have anything to do with wrestling?
Oh, you are not wrong. She could have just done like the whole like you know how they do the fake blood and all that, and it drips out of the mud, the mouth like Gangrel. She could have done something like that. The blue tongue, yeah, it was like, all right, what do you want me to do? I don't get it. Let me like I got some envelopes for you to lick.
Yeah, that would definitely be my question to her for that.
Snap. All right, well here I got another one for you. Actually, I agree. Well, first I agree with you with um Liv Morgan. But here's the thing. I would be like, I don't want to talk to Liv Morgan. I want to talk to outside character. I like your actual voice. I don't like Liv Morgan's voice. Your natural voice. So basically, like let's break kayfabe. So now I got another one. Now this one, Saturdays for the boys. All right. Who are you trying to chill with? John Cena and Randy Orton, R-Truth and The Miz, or Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles? Who you got to choose for your weekend crew?
Randy Orton and John Cena.
Nice. That's a good choice. Why?
Because I want to see how much John Cena can drink before he gets drunk, and I want to see if old Randy will show up out of nowhere, like an
Oh,
RKO.
damn. Now, what kind of questions will you be asking them? You're sitting down with them, having a couple drinks, eating some wings.
Well, in Randy's case, I'm going to ask him what it was like growing up as a wrestler because he got to grow up around some of these guys. But also at the same time, I don't think he was able to grow up around them like the way Cody and The Rock were because at least Dusty and Rocky Johnson still stayed with the business behind the scenes for a while before they got released.
Right.
Whereas Cowboy Bob, he just kind of just stopped in general because there was no interest in him. Uh, and then John Cena, I just got to go. I just gotta ask him his black book list,
His what?
the little black book.
What black book?
You don't know what a little black book means? The
No.
list of girls.
Ooh. Okay. I didn't know John Cena had that. I mean, it shouldn't surprise me that he would have one.
It's not that
Damn.
he has one. It's just that it's obviously he has one.
It's obvious that he has one. Snap. All right. Well, for me, man, that's a tough one. See, John Cena, Randy Orton, that's a good one. But R-Truth and The Miz,
Yeah, I really don't give a shit about the
yeah,
Miz.
The Miz is,
I
yeah.
I don't really care anything about Mike Mizanin.
Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles. The only thing is, here's the thing with AJ Styles. I feel like that would be cool. The story, actually, damn. No, I'm gonna go with Rey Mysterio and AJ Styles because at least with Rey, I could talk to him about Beto Aguayo, and then AJ Styles, I could talk about TNA and also
Probably
video
want
games.
He probably not want to talk to you after that. Are you asking about Federal Wildly? Really?
That's well, that's fine. It's one weekend, but not if it's one weekend where it's like if I'm going there as a fan, yeah, obviously those are the questions I'm gonna ask them. Other than
No,
that, I just
I know. It's just like
yeah.
you know, the last
Shit.
thought of him is like okay, really?
Well, yeah, but what else am I gonna talk to about Rey Mysterio? And then like with Ty, I mean
About
the
his
only
kneecaps, about how they're artificial, about how many times he's had to use
why am I gonna ask him about that
that's
stuff? I don't
how
care
that
about that.
science works. How you can replace them yourself in the future when you need them. Stem cell.
I ain't trying to talk about any of that. I'm trying to talk about it better a while. That's what I'm trying to talk about, you know. But hey, at least the closest thing is Pentagon Junior, Penta, because we got a little bit of because he's he's a Beto Ahmad member or former member, and then he's also kind of reminds me of like La Parca as well. So we kind of
Yeah,
got
that's
we
exactly why.
you know
That's exactly why I expect our truth at some point to say, "La Parca,
La
I
Parca,
thought you were old as hell. You're still
man,
around."
you still around La Parca?
If he's not confusing people's names with identities, then there's no way he cannot do a La Parca scene with fucking Penta Zero, man. That you, then it's like, what was the point of Triple H and Ciampa? What was the point of all?
Right,
If you're gonna do that, you have to have him pull the plug and go say, "La Parca,
La Parca.
what up,
And,
dog? Damn, I haven't seen you since I was last in TNA."
and that battle royal match that we had.
And we ain't gonna talk about all that.
Oh, that would be cool too. Like that would, and maybe instead of backstage at the Royal Rumble, our
Then
truth
he can bust on him because the Parker was a little fatter than Penta and go like, "Man,
lost weight.
there's a six sides. You had your six sides."
So our truth, man. Our truth needs to go to TNA. Also, you know what would be cool if he goes down to NXT and then
And says
if
that he's in TNA.
and he's in TNA. It's like they told me they this is TNA. And look,
See,
or just show
it'll
up in the
it'll only
ring and then say
it'll
I
work
just
if it
crossed the
happens.
line.
That'll work if it happens to be an NXT show in Orlando.
Oh
Damn, it
yeah.
feels good to be back in Orlando. What up, TNA?
Oh man, or even in Nashville. That way he could say that this is the same place that I won my first world champion. Because that was in Nashville, Tennessee. But the Orlando one, that's funny. I like that, man. But it's time to move on. Time for this or that WrestleMania Fantasy Matchup Edition. So this is like a mid-card match, so bear with me. So would you rather see Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio or Damian Priest versus AJ Styles?
He can still go another round. I would say uh Damian Priest versus AJ Styles. Without him breaking his knees or his ankles, I want to see AJ try to go for the phenomenal forearm that gets turned into the south of
South
south of
of
whatever it
Heaven,
is.
South of
Yeah, south of
Heaven.
heaven choke slam.
Oh, so springboard going for the forearm, but catches him, and then falls right
But it does,
away,
no,
or
no,
he
but
lands on
it
his feet,
falls with him.
falls with
Collapses,
him.
collapses with him. So you have to be able to catch him to the point where
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I see the timing of it. Yeah, that's cool. No, that works better. I would prefer it that way instead of him landing on his feet and then picking him up. So
now
yeah.
whether or not he gets the pin or the kick out, that's something different. But just to see that spot,
Hmm.
it's gonna be immortalized. It's gonna be like the Jeff Hardy spear from Edge. It's gonna be like
The
um
RKO from with Randy Orton and CM Punk.
from or the RKO to Evan Bourne or like the Sweet
Yeah.
Chin Music to Shelton Benjamin or it's gonna be that spot that if timed right is gonna be it's gonna be in the reel of holy shit moments
Hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely will
forever.
be. Yeah, and also for me, the reason why I like both choices, but like for the story, for just the story for Finn Balor and Dominic, I mentioned in the last episode that I feel like this is a possibility, but I if not, I would book it for Finn Balor if he's not gonna face Damian Priest, because I really thought we were gonna get Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the world title, but for Finn Balor and Dominic, I will book it similar to just the match, something similar like WrestleMania 20 with Christian and Chris Jericho but with Liv Morgan costing Dominic and Finn Balor winning, and then
That's the
they're
only way you can get Dominic to be a face again is
mm,
by turning on Finn, who has to become not he has to be a dick to everybody, and then you start feeling a little sympathy towards Dom.
mm,
So much to the point where even Ray goes out of his way to protect him, not for any other reason other than that's his son.
right. I didn't even think about turning face for Dominic, but yeah, no, I could see that working. And then for Damian and AJ Styles, it's just to more of a like where Damian Priest started at WrestleMania 38. It was Edge and AJ Styles. Damian Priest caused AJ Styles to lose to Edge. So, and with Damian Priest as a babyface and AJ Styles as a heel, that would be a nice mix up and to bring up that rivalry back up again. But for me, I would go with Damian Priest and AJ Styles. Um, Now going over, I gotta obviously say Damian Priest. Just because of that ending, that spot that you just said. I didn't even think about it that way. So, so yeah,
Because
that was.
I don't think even if Damian Priest carries himself, especially after that last injury, that AJ will have the strength at that point anymore to do a Styles clash. And with
Mhm.
him being a bigger guy, bigger guys tend to uh, flinch a little bit to the point where I don't want to see Damian break his neck because uh, he wasn't ready for the Styles clash.
Right. I think he's too tall for it. It would have to be something like he can't hook the arms. It would just have to because AJ Styles done a style clash with on Abyss, but he just picked him up like a power driver and then just went for a face buster. Just flat first, didn't even hook the legs. So I feel like that, but yeah, it's not even worth even trying anymore at this point, especially AJ Styles been wrestling for this long and also all these injuries. But here's the next this or that WrestleMania edition. Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso or Jey Uso versus John Cena. Yee or no yee? So they're both Jey Uso matches.
Gotta be John Cena. We've already kind of seen the Jay and Cody kind of thing. I mean, I know we haven't seen that at a PLE, but um, we can go back to where John Cena first started to turn into the rapper. One of his first opponents during that was a rivalries was with Rikishi,
Mmm, nice. Good memory, good memory.
and Jey Uso was trying to get his end of the last tour
Hmm. So
because you could really
how will
you
you
could
do the
really
build
have
up?
you could really have Randy Orton versus John Cena anyway at any
Right.
point.
You could. It could happen on Raw. It doesn't need you could build it up like a month away, but have it
Jey
on Raw.
Uso needs a made up if Tonga Loa isn't cleared, which obviously he's not going to be cleared by WrestleMania with a torn tricep. But let's say he is, but then you get to have the Tongans versus the Usos tag team match.
Hmm.
Without that, you have really no reason for Jey Uso to mix it up with anybody from the bloodline anymore. So if he's not mixing it up with Kevin Owens or Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania in a straight one-on-one match where there's something that's up for grabs, then have him go after John Cena
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
because
like it would be a
he
nice
needs
fun
that
match.
he needs to have that type of match
He
to
does.
really help him catapult to let him become the Jeff Hardy of the Usos.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
in doing so, he needs to get rid of the spear. He needs to bring something else because there's already too many spears as it is.
What would you want him to replace it with?
How about the old school pump up Samoan Samoan drop that the family used to use. Rikishi used to use it.
So what, just send them to the ropes, pick them up,
Yep.
and then okay, they do that, but you're saying they just do they do
Make it a signature finisher almost
sing okay.
for
Yeah,
him to do
they
the Uso splash,
it's like
which
they
is
do it
really
for
the
a high
superfly
spot.
splash, which
Yeah.
is really pretty much a superfly splash. No matter how much they don't want to say it, they
Yeah.
can't say it.
Yeah. I do like the splash. But yeah, I don't like it when it go. Don't get me wrong. When Jey Uso does it, it's nice. It looks nice. It looks clean. The spear going for the splash. It does look clean. But Roman Reigns, that's Roman Reigns' finisher.
Roman Reigns, Edge, or Hope, um, uh,
Cope.
Ron Breaker, and then whoever else has to use a spear. If
Yeah.
you ever bring Bobby Lashley back, that's another person who uses a spear. If you ever bring Rhino back, that's another person who uses a spear. And whoever else
He hits a gore.
and
Gore.
whoever else
Gore.
decides to show up on the main roster from NXT that needs to use a spear.
Yeah.
So
Jimmy's doing it too. And then oh, let's not forget Charlotte.
nobody else is using DDT or as much. Nobody's using a
Big
power bomb
boots.
that much.
I think Roman Reigns' finisher could
Nobody's
be a
using the
big boot.
nobody's doing the test big boot. Yeah,
Yeah. Roman Reigns could do that.
he's
Roman
not tall enough. Randy's taller than him.
Sheamus does it. Sheamus 6'4". Roman
Sheamus does a scissors kick.
well, bicycle kick, but yeah, same thing. What a Booker T. Could a Booker T pull that off then? No?
At his age,
Hmm.
probably pull the
You
Panther.
know what question since we're talking about moves like this? Triple H's high knee. What's your do you think that could have been a finisher for him instead of a pedigree?
Isn't that isn't that pretty much isn't that pretty much just a shiny wizard?
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that there you go. That's another finisher nobody uses anymore. Or
Shiny
the Insiguri, a
yeah.
step up Insiguri
Yeah. That used to be
as a
Chris
finisher.
Jericho's. Chris Jericho's finisher. Eddie Edwards, well, he's in TNA. He does the Shining Wizard. Uh, he calls it the Boston Knee Party because he's from
Didn't
Boston.
somebody once use the shiniest wizard
The Shiniest Wizard. Oh man,
as a
it's
name?
that's a female wrestler.
Right.
Damn, who used to do that? I know what you're talking about. The Shiniest Wizard. It wasn't. No, Io does the moonsault. Kira does the elbow. It wasn't Oscar, was it? The Shiny.
Asuka only had the Asuka kick and the lock, the
The
sleeper
Shiny.
bar lock. That's it.
Ooh, man, ever. Why are you not on the show? Shiny is. How you spell wizard? Harry Potter.
Really?
Uh, okay, it's giving me a. Well, the Great Muda, but obviously, but I know there was somebody else who did it. There was this CM Punk used to do it, but it was never a finisher. Nothing's coming up.
Like
What?
I always remember that this spot. There was that street fight that John Morrison and R-Truth had on Raw. It was after John R-Truth came back because Triple H re-signed him
Hmm.
after the whole COO thing.
Okay.
And John Morrison does a Shining Wizard to R-Truth while he's sitting on the announcer's chair. And I'm like, okay, that should be his new finisher. Stop using the freaking the moonsault he does, the split legged moonsault, and stop doing Starship Pain and start doing that, or have that as an alternate finisher. No,
Mm.
they never did it. Never did it again.
The running knee, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm like
I know.
that would have been a sick finisher for him to start relying on instead of just because he could have used it on big guys too.
Yeah, he could have. He could have. That would have been a nice. That would have been his version of the curb stomp.
Yeah,
So, so I'm glad you brought that move up because I remember watching a match of his. I believe it happened out in Impact, and what bothered me was I don't know how the spot happened, but the guy was getting so basically like doing the sit up, the Undertaker sit up, and I think it could have been Karrion Cross, I believe. And John Morrison ran, hit him with the knee, does the the chop, the slap. So it sounded loud, it sounded nice. The move was clean, bro. I don't remember who the announcer was, but the announcer was like, "Oh my gosh, Johnny Impact knocked out, I believe it was Karrion Cross or Killer Cross at the time. I, he
Killer Kross, yeah.
knocked he knocked him out with his knee." And then John Morrison grabs his legs, his ankles, drags him to the corner and does hits him with a weak landing of the start shit pain. One, two, three. The announcer like was just like, bro, you hit him with a clean finish. And then you went to the top rope. Why? The announcer put you over. He said that you knocked him out with that knee. And you did a beautiful, clean sound with the move. You should have just covered him. Instead, he grabbed his legs, put him in the corner, did his weak moonsault, a move that Austin Aries no sell at Bound for Glory because he hates that move. And it was just like, bro, it was just like, come on, man. And he also had that nice neck breaker as well. I mean, like I don't think it could have. I'm not saying it should have been a finisher all the time, but it could have been one of those signature moves where it could have been like oh, he's trying to get back in the ring, and John Morrison locks in that neck breaker, and then he does it. Like John Morrison,
That's the other thing. Nobody does neck breakers anymore. Nobody
nope,
does
nope.
nobody does an STO. And I'm not referring to a reverse STO. I'm talking about original STO. Um, there's so many moves
Bulldogs,
that people could.
bulldogs, diving bulldogs, blockbusters.
Yeah,
Super kicks. I don't mind super kicks. Super kicks could just be a finisher, but they're not finishers no more. I would accept that as being as the new spear, but it's not. It's crazy how everybody does a spear as a finisher, but nobody does a super kick as a finisher anymore. Even James Storm, where it's like he does the last call
Golf was the
super
last one to
kick.
try. Golf was the last one that tried bringing it back
Yeah, but he kept using it too much. He kept using it as a well,
because he
with
didn't want to
Dove
use
was nice.
because he didn't want to use that stupid zigzag move.
But it
He
was
was
a
trying to
nice
get away from it.
combination though, where he hits the super kick and his opponent turns around and does a zigzag. That's a nice combination. But the zigzag alone, I'm like, nah, I'm not feeling that. So that because imagine Roman Reigns coming at you at a spear and Dolph Ziggler, boom, super kick, turns around and then boom, zigzag. That's a nice combination. But if it's a combination of move out of the way, Roman takes a turnbuckle and then he's walking back and you hit him with a zigzag. Nah, that's a nice move if you're gonna go to the top rope after that. Because he's right there at the corner, hit him with a zigzag and then you go to the top rope, maybe drop an elbow. But other than that, the zigzag is a nice, like, unless it's like a combination move, it's nice. Even like imagine, I don't know if you know Davey Richards. Davey Richards used to do like those high kicks, the butt saw kicks, like Tajiri's finisher. So imagine like that, doing like a nice roll house kick, boom, kick to the head, turn around, zigzag, you know? So it's something like that. But other than that, Dolph Ziggler should have just kept it as a finisher. I kind of get why. Vince was like, he's too much like Shawn Michaels. But the thing what Vince didn't get at that time is like, bro, yeah, because Shawn Michaels just left. You needed a Shawn Michaels at that time, and Dolph Ziggler
Yep.
was the guy.
Yeah, he oversold like Sean. He
Yeah,
wrestled like Sean. He looked like Sean, a smaller version.
right. But he didn't like. We get we Dolph Ziggler. There were so many moments he should have been WWE champion. So many
It's
times.
fun.
Like,
It's ironic for Vince to say that because he would always try to find guys that looked like guys from the past. You
mhm.
cannot tell us that when he got Mason Ryan that he didn't see Batista in him like the way we all did.
Yeah. And nothing was wrong with that. Just don't give him that much of a push of a Batista, But like
Or
it's
don't or
cool.
or don't make Mason Ryan look as weak as you made him do.
Yeah.
Like that guy was a freaking monster looking. Why wouldn't you build him like a monster?
Yeah,
Why won't you build him like a powerhouse instead of just looking like a powerhouse?
yeah. They could have built them up. So what? He looked like Batista. Dolph Ziggler was just like, but again, that's who we needed. We needed another Batista, you know? And we needed it when Shawn Michaels left, we needed another Shawn Michaels. When Edge left, we needed another Edge, you know?
When we lost Bret Hart, we got Kurt Angle.
Yeah. It, that worked out. But how long it took for us to get a Kurt Angle though?
2 years.
So, man, but
Well, now we have a Kurt Angle, but they're not treating him like a Kurt Angle.
mm. So I got another. Here's the last this or that. Uh Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins or Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania.
I already said it. The last one.
The last one, Jey versus Sami Zayn. How
But
would you book this over?
you would have had to have booked it from the moment that Sammy turned on Roman. You would have to rewind to go back to that moment
Oh,
when
so
he
we're
hit
going
Rome
30,
to back
so
to the Rumble,
back to the
back to
Rumble.
the Rumble where he turned on Roman, and
Okay.
after he loses to Roman after he loses to Roman at um no better yet after WrestleMania because he and KO beat the Usos. So instead of necessarily defending the tag titles, make Jay versus Sami Zayn happen 1-on-1.
A backlash then?
Yeah. Um,
I think that would work because was it Cody Rhodes that faced Brock Lesnar at Backlash, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And he was still at that moment Roman Reigns' right hand man.
Yeah.
Even though he was molding Solo to be that afterwards, it's like he was trying to he was trying to at that point get back at Sammy, but also teach Jay a lesson for having stood up for Sammy.
And
And then he
back
could always say,
and it's
and you
backlash.
and you
It's
could have him say, "I stood up for you, I fought for you, and you turned on us, and you made them turn on me."
mm,
Where then Sami Zayn says, "Do you not see what they're doing to you? Why are they punishing you? You told me I was your brother, and now you're turning on me. Now both you and your brother accepted me. You and
mm,
Jimmy accepted me, and now because I stood up for myself, you hate me."
mm. It's funny because wasn't Jimmy in Sammy's shoes before?
Yep.
And then Jay was fighting for like, what are you doing? And then next thing you
Yeah,
know,
because that
yeah,
that's what
so it
Jimmy
works
was doing
out.
from the beginning. That's what Jimmy was doing from the beginning. I know where they just said, "Okay, you know what? We're just gonna pretend like none of that happened.
Yeah.
We'll just pretend like you didn't actually say any of that."
Damn, that's cool. So you're saying the buildup will be Backlash then? Jay versus Sami Zayn singles match. So yeah, that would have worked at that time, especially after that. Who would go over?
Sami Zayn for the first one, and then eventually you have Jey Uso win, but it's also because Solo gets involved.
Mm.
Because Jay at that point is trying to prove to himself that he is the main event Jay, not just while Sammy tries to tell him you're only main event Jay because your cousin wanted an easy win after his title defense.
He ain't wrong about that one. Even though it was part of the storyline
You're
anyways.
only main event Jay because your brother was injured and your cousin was trying to give you a paycheck instead of having you in catering.
Damn. I mean, that sounds like more like Kevin Owens would say than Sami Zayn.
And then to really put the nail on the coffin, you're only main event Jay because you weren't good at commentary
Damn.
while your brother was injured.
Oh, I keep
Tell
forgetting
me,
that was Jay and not Jimmy.
tell me this, Jay. Can you pass a drug test? Can you pass a sobriety test? Can you tell me the alphabet backwards? Can you walk a straight line?
That sounds more like John Cena if he was back as a heel.
Or CM Punk?
Ooh. Damn, that should have been the other this or that. CM Punk and Jey Uso. So, um, yeah, for me, Sammy and Jay, for WrestleMania, that'd be cool. Um, but obviously, if it was for the title, for both of them as baby faces, obviously, um, I really thought Sami Zayn. I'm gonna be honest. I really thought Sami Zayn was gonna be walking in WrestleMania as world champion, facing Kevin Owens, or even Jey Uso would have been cool. None of that is happening. Now Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, they need a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. I feel like this is kind of similar, like what's it called, like The Rock and Triple H. It's like, how does it this not happen yet? You know, same thing with Randy Orton and John Cena. They had so many matches outside of WrestleMania, but never really happened at WrestleMania. Um, I'm gonna go with Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Now, if we're gonna go back based on like, let's say WrestleMania 40, the story that what you said, I would like to see that I would have loved to see that happen last year's WrestleMania. The build up. So instead of Jay, well, I would rather see a heel Jay versus a babyface Sami Zayn. Babyface Sami Zayn. That felt weird to say. So, but all right. Any last minute predictions or any predictions for 2025, especially with WWE and TNA working together? What's something do you think is gonna happen, or what's something would you like to see happen? For
I think
me,
over the
is the
next
Ultimate X match.
over the next year, you're probably going to see NXT guys being PLEs, not just mid card.
Hmm.
You might even see a TNA guy in the Money in the Bank ladder match, whether it's on the guy's side or the women's side. I think you will start seeing those kind of insertions in the cross brands, or that world championship match where the world champions are colliding.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll be triple threat for the men and the women's at Crown Jewel.
You know, I was gonna say this for the whole partnership. I think that happened to help out with the overseas shows.
That and also to help with NXT because NXT hasn't been doing that great lately. Um, Kind of like when NXT first started after before Triple H started taking over,
Mhm.
because it was a lot of no names when until Triple H started signing these independent guys that were getting over, like Kevin Owens, like Finn Balor, like Sami Zayn. The pre-signing of that, I think that's what TNA is going to give you without having to poach uh, contracted wrestlers.
Mhm.
It gives you the ability to do that without having to worry about stealing them from the talent. Now you're just exposing them into the business without having to officially sign them. And then when there's a negotiation, you bring them on like you do with NXT in the call up.
Yeah. That was the other thing I was thinking, where somebody like, for example, Kevin Owens, uh, apparently his contract is coming up. Let's just say he wants more money or whatever, so and so, or even like say they decided to work with TNA uh back 10 years ago, like somebody like a CM Punk, where it's like, hey man, I could main event at WrestleMania, where something where it's like, hey, if they would have had a partnership with TNA, all right, we'll go to TNA and prove that. Sell out their arenas. They need help. Let's see if you could do it. And I feel like that's gonna help of, okay, look, the numbers I drew for TNA, can you like basically give me more money for my new deal and stuff like that? This is the money I could draw. And at least that way they'll be like, okay, yeah, it's worth the investment. It's worth the storyline. You did draw when they put you in the Bound for Glory because that's their WrestleMania. You did draw all this money and all that stuff where it's like, yeah, cool. We could work a better deal for you and try to push you in a higher card. That's what I feel like it's going to happen going in the future, to see like, hey, we don't have nothing for this person, but do you have anything for this person? Go to TNA and try to work things out. So I feel like Rosemary, I would love to see Rosemary versus like Alexa Bliss or something like that. Like just that. I mean, if she's able to go back to like the Fiend character, if they're gonna welcome her, if she's gonna be part of the Wyatt Six, that'd be kind of interesting to see if that's gonna play out. But anything else you feel like it's gonna happen or you would like to see?
Definitely, I do see CM Punk winning the World Championship before SummerSlam. If he ends up winning it at WrestleMania, I think he'll do with TNA like what he was supposed to do in 2012,
Hmm.
expose the world title to the rest of the wrestling brand. So the NXT go show up on SmackDown with it, go show up on Raw with it, go show up at TNA with it
Okay.
as a way to expose the World Championship to more than one brand. Um, if Kevin Owens wins a championship, it's going to be after WrestleMania, just before his contract comes up, and then if he doesn't relinquish it, he'll probably be cashed in on. I think that's how he's going to win his last world title. I think the Money in the Bank winner is going to cash in on Kevin Owens.
Oh,
Um,
I can see that happening. Make it
if
Jey Uso. Make it Jey
if
Uso.
it's Charlotte that wins the title, it's going to be off of Tiffany, but I don't think it's going to be at WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a few ways down the road.
Mhm.
Um, and then if anything, if she doesn't win the title off Tiffany that way, then I think she might win the Raw World Championship just so she can add another belt to her wall of different versions of a championship.
Okay. Last minute predictions. Who's winning the Royal Rumble?
Possibly CM Punk for the men's,
Okay.
just so he can get his main event moment. For the women's, I think it's gonna be Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
Now, Iron Man, I think the Iron Man for the men is going to be possibly Drew McIntyre, so that he has something going for him for the Royal Rumble. I think he'll make it maybe to the final six, not necessarily the final four. And for the women, the Iron Woman, I think it's not gonna be Bailey 2 years in a row.
I would say
Um,
Io Sky. Io Sky or
Io
Kansas
Sky,
Lorraine. Kansas Lorraine would be cool.
maybe even Liv if she's not somehow, yeah, possibly Liv
Live.
as a world
Yeah.
champion, former world champion. That would be the best fit.
Yeah. And also because the year before was Bailey, right?
Mm.
So it worked
As I
out.
said, I don't
Yeah.
think it'll be Bailey 2 years in
Yeah.
a row.
No, no. And it shouldn't anyways. I mean, should Bailey be, I would say have Bailey like close to it and then get eliminated by the woman who is the Iron Woman. That would be cool to have that
So
moment.
and that also if it that also could end up setting up will be Liv versus Bailey
Oh
at
yeah.
Mania.
Yeah. Because we never got a rematch. And it doesn't have to be for the title. We just
No,
need to get a redemption match. So, before we go, I want to let our listeners know that I'm trying to recommend some matches for people to check out. And then I just got a couple lists. And Andre, I'm going to ask you what matches that you would recommend people to watch. For me, it's obviously the Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker of WrestleMania 25. And any AJ Styles versus John Cena matches, or even John Cena. John Cena's always had some good matches, but you can never go wrong seeing AJ Styles versus John Cena. What's some matches that you would recommend for people to check out?
oh man, some of my favorite matches happen to be with Redacted,
Protected.
the the,
Okay.
the, the, the Redacted Wolverine.
I
Um,
I follow.
with
I follow.
him and Kurt Angle had the best matches of all time, at least from a technical wrestling standing point. Um, good spots, good timing, a lot of good pacing.
Hmm.
Um, always my favorite ladder matches with him and Y2J at the Royal Rumble. Um,
That's a good one.
you know what's an underrated match that I think only had a bad finish? Triple H versus Y2J at Fully Loaded, Last Man Standing, and I think Jericho should have won it. Obviously, Triple H had the seniority pole, being the boyfriend of the boss's daughter
Hmm.
in real life at that point. Uh, but I really think with the way they were building Y2J at that moment, Jericho should have won it.
Okay.
Even if it was just standing up only to drop after the 10 count.
Right.
Barely winning for Jericho was more important than Triple H getting over. And Triple H just getting over just so that he could be um, mixed into the world title match with Kurt Angle and The Rock.
Um,
You
I
could have still given Triple H the main
right,
event match without having to bury Jericho.
yeah,
That was more of a burial for Jericho than anything.
right. It's crazy because isn't that what the gimmick matches are for? To save a pinfall? You know, it's like you got to win over that person, but you didn't really beat that person. You just won a match. You got to win over this person. And then it's since it was a pay-per-view the next night on Raw, it could have been a triple threat match. And that's where like a number one contender, and that's where Triple H could get a win over Chris Jericho back. That's what
Yeah,
normally it plays out. Maybe at that time they didn't have that vision, and eventually they're like, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." But no, that's a good one. I actually never, I heard of that match. I never actually checked it out. So definitely got to check it out now. Well, actually,
definitely,
don't ruin the ending now. I'm going to go watch the match now.
definitely, Jericho, or not Jericho, Jeff Hardy versus RVD, both hardcore title matches at Invasion at SummerSlam.
Mm,
Because I was a big Jeff Hardy fan, I liked the whole five line thing, and them two working together for the hardcore title just made the hardcore title much more important.
right.
Um, because in RVD's mind, as he mentioned several podcasts, the hardcore title to him was the same thing as the ECW title. Even though the ECW originals didn't see it that way,
They
it
should have.
was it was an extension of ECW in RVD's mind, and
Right.
that's why he wanted to stay the champion. He wanted to keep the title going because he wanted to make he wanted to keep some part of ECW alive.
Hmm.
Um, and for my last match, I would probably have to say, um, damn, this last one was a hard one to pick. I would have to say
Well, how about this?
any Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton match.
Oh, that's a good one. And E, yes, because you're not wrong there. You're not wrong.
Both of them carry each other very well. I just wish that the only match that Shawn won over Randy was not on Raw. I would have want. I know Randy did. I know Shawn didn't want to win the world title anymore because if he had to be the champion at the time, the rule was they have to do house shows,
Hmm.
and that was part of Shawn Michaels' clause that he didn't have to do house shows unless he wanted to.
Yeah.
But I would have wanted to see Shawn win one world title over Randy, and anytime that Randy was a champion, especially after No Mercy. Uh, when he faced Randy at Survivor Series or Cyber Sunday. Any one of those, even if it was champion for 1 month or 1 week,
Hmm.
just seeing Shawn getting a clean pin over Randy after the Sweet Chin music, I would have enjoyed. But yeah, any Shawn versus Randy match, definitely recommend.
All
All
right.
matches, all matches were different each time, even though they were one-on-one matches, uh, and they just had good chemistry in the ring. As
They
as
did.
a
They
as a
did.
student, even though they weren't necessarily student teacher, it was always a student teacher type match
Oh,
between the
yeah.
two,
And that's what's probably what's wrong with this generation. We don't have a lot of teachers versus students. It's student versus students.
or even a fan of a mentor, like the way Sean
Mm,
and even Sean and Jericho had.
yeah. And but they still put in classic matches.
Yeah,
Um, but I was gonna say, so do you have any Panda matches? Pentagon Junior matches?
I couldn't really
Obviously,
say I do.
no. Okay.
I couldn't really say I do. I didn't really hear much about him until I think Lucha Underground at one point he was in it. Around the time that Ray left the WWE. So maybe, but I never really watched the full match
Mm.
through to give critique on whether or not. So I want to give a false critique on it.
No, no, I get it. I think for me, for Panda, obviously his great matches, in my opinion, took place in TNA and Impact Wrestling. I have a few in AAA, but that's more of a Pero Aguayo because they were tag team matches. You know what I mean? But for Penta alone or Pentagon Jr., his match against Sami Callihan at Slammiversary, I believe it was Mask versus Hair, 5-star match. Definitely recommend that one. That one's on TNA Plus, and also you could check it out on YouTube. Obviously, Penta and his brother Ray Phoenix, Lucha Bros against LAX, fire matches all the time. So, but those are a few matches I recommend for Penta, and also Penta versus Chad Gable on his debut on Raw. But yeah, all right, appreciate Andre the Savage for joining me for another episode. Hopefully, we bring you back for the next episode. Talk a little bit more because obviously by then it'll be more of the Royal Rumble. We'll have more of an update list on that. Probably the next episode is probably just gonna be about Royal Rumble prediction. Because there's gonna be a lot to talk about once we
Oh
get
yeah.
closer.
Oh
Once we
yeah.
get closer, there's gonna be so much to talk about. So, all right, Andre, appreciate it. Well, that's all for today's episode. We covered a lot from Penta's WWE debut to dream matches and even TNA and WWE's partnership. So, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, Andre the Savage, for jumping on this episode and catching up and talking about wrestling. So, all right, well, this will be it for this episode. Appreciate everyone who tuned in and made it this far on this episode. IAN is who I am, and a storyteller is who I'm trying to be. And if you're feeling so high in joy, give me a holla. But since we can't hear you, you can hit a 5-star Frog Splash review, follow us on Spotify and Apple, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share us on social media. New Entry Wrestling Podcast. This is the place to get your wrestling news, predictions, and fantasy booking. Until next time, deuces.